Welcome back to the Slay Your Day podcast. I am so excited for all of you high performance women out there. Today, you are in for a treat. We have Maggie Berghoff. She is a functional medicine nurse practitioner, best-selling author, and mama of three. Her newest book is Eat to Treat, and we are going to be diving into all of the goodies today here for you in her newest book, Eat to Treat. So Maggie, thank you so much for being on the Slay Your Day podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am so thrilled for this juicy episode.
Yes. Well, I want to dive right in with you. And I want to ask you what inspired you to write your book?
Good question. I never wanted to be an author. This was not a part of the plan. So what happened is I got, I guess, super sick. I had a bunch of symptoms. This was in my young 20s. And on the outside, I looked very healthy, fit, worked out every day. I am a high performance female that's just who I am through and through, even at that time. But I was struggling with all these symptoms. I was bloated all the time, no matter what I ate. And I was even eating like organic and clean and healthy before I feel like it was even trendy. And I was so bloated all the time. I was having problems with constipation, like no matter what I tried. My hair was thinning. I would break out in hives randomly. I was super tired. I would sleep 10 hours every night with the perfect nighttime routine and
Oh.
still wake up super, super sleepy. And so this led to me, of course, going to the doctor. And every doctor, every specialist just kept on dismissing me, saying, you look fine, everything's fine, your labs are normal, you're fine. This is common, try this pill. And so from doctor after doctor, I really got bounced around, from the cardiologist to the immunologist to the allergist to everything. And everybody just wanted to give me a prescription medication to help with the symptoms that I was complaining about. But I knew deep inside something is not right. And this is not just about to be my story for the rest of my life, that I'm going to be reliant on these medications. And so what I did was I went really back to school to specialize in what's called functional medicine. I'm now a functional medicine practitioner to heal my own body. I wanted to find out answers. I wanted to figure out what was going on, how to help myself. And I did that in a very short amount of time. And it blew my mind, because not only did all these doctors tell me that I would be reliant on medications for my entire life, there was nothing they could do. Eventually, I did have a lot of abnormals eventually. So eventually, after being ignored for over a year by the doctors, I did have a lot of serious health problems like kidney failure, a TIA mini stroke when I was 24 years old, PCOS, POTS, you name it, they diagnosed me with it. And they told me this would be lifelong.
So that is so incredible that you went and were really an advocate for yourself, because I mean, you must think to yourself like, okay, here's one thing that I'm dealing with. And then you get another and another. And you're like, but at what point does this end? Right? So like you were able to go get educated, educate yourself and not listen to doctors. Because a lot of times what we see is doctors take the pill, take the pill. Here's the fast, trick or whatever to get rid of it or just cover up the
Yeah.
symptoms.
Well,
So
here's the thing. We're high performers, right? Like that's what this whole podcast is. That's honestly what kind of got me sick, because I didn't know how to be a high performer and also balance my body at the time.
yeah.
But you don't give up when things get really hard, or when someone tells you that you're going to be this situation the rest of your life. You don't give up. You don't accept that. And that's really what led me down this path.
Yeah. So I have so many questions for you, because I think I'm like a undercover biohacker. Like I'm obsessed with all things biohacking, because I want to learn how to get the biggest bang for my, not even buck, but like efforts, right? Like you and I are both moms, and it's like I know that if I'm putting my time and attention into something, I want to see the ROI. I want to see the return on my investment, whether that's time or money. And I think with biohacking, you just go so much deeper. And, in reading your book and listening to just a lot of your content, I think there's so many things that we as women there, yes, there's food, but I love how your book goes even deeper into other things, like just in our daily lives, that can contribute to fatigue and bloating and just not feeling our best the ways that we should be. So could you dive into a few of what those things could be? Again, it could be food or it could be something different, but I'm going to let you dive into that.
Yeah, well, actually, so the book Eat to Treat, part 3 is all about food and mindset around food and nutrition and anti-inflammatory eating. But the entire part 2 is all what you're talking about, like these lifestyle hacks, these things
Yep.
that you every day to set yourself up for success. And one of the first things that I did seems so unrelated to your health, but made the biggest difference for me. And it was detoxifying my daily routine items. So what I mean by that is my like personal hygiene and my makeup and skincare and household products and candles in the house. I I went like cold turkey and threw it all away, all the traditional stuff that I was using, and
Yeah.
replaced it with clean options. Because like you said, I want to know that I'm doing the best I can. And so what happens when you do this is every single day you get to wake up and your house and your habits and the makeup you're putting on and the counter cleaner, you're cleaning the counter with, everything is set up to reduce inflammation. So
Yeah.
without even thinking about it or trying, your whole family and you're waking up every day in like an environment conducive to optimal health. I feel
Yeah.
like that's one of the best places to start.
Yes. So when I was pregnant with my first, who's almost 7, I remember I watched a documentary. I don't remember what it was called, but it was about like switching all your products over to clean products. And I literally went through we were living in a condo at the time. I got rid of everything, like all the toxic stuff, and I bought all the clean stuff. And my husband was like, "How much money did you just spend on all this?" I'm like, "We have to do it. The baby's coming. I'm pregnant." And I just like got rid of everything. But I would love to hear like some of the products that you use, makeup products, because I think again, everything from the candles that we have to the lotions, the deodorants, like all of these things that we put on our body, it's directly on like going into our bloodstream. So I would love to hear some of the products that you use because I know that women are going to hear you talking about this and be like, okay, what can I use? Like, what's another alternative?
Yes, and the same, that's exactly what I did too, just everything. So I feel for candles, that was one of mine. I like grew up with scented candles. I used
Yeah.
scented candles. So actually the first thing I did was actually get used to no scents. Just a clean, fresh
Mm.
home without scents so that your body doesn't have to continually like interpret what's going on. What does this smell? What are we going to do with this? Detoxifying this. And so actually I went with like very just pure, clean, circulated, fresh air, bought an air filter. And then when I reintroduced scents, mainly like if I was hosting a party or just really wanted something, then I used essential oils. Um,
Yes.
for makeup, that was huge for me. I was used to all the main normal brands and same with lotions, all the smelly things.
Uh-huh.
I switched unscented lotion, the first step. Now I do use scents if it's clean, but it's kind of like what level of healing are you on? So when
Yeah.
I was first doing this, unscented everything that I could find. And then with makeup, I did a lot of, and I do a lot of Beauty Counter, Ilia, Kosas, what other thing? Honest is my favorite. I literally
I use a crunchy, I think it's called crunchy
have
foundation.
Crunchy foundation. I use Ilia foundation. I use Kosas Cloud Set Powder, like over the foundation. It's my
Okay.
favorite. Honest mascara is my favorite. Ilia eyeliner is like the best, juiciest eyeliner.
Nice.
And eyeshadows, I use a lot of Ilia and Beauty Counter.
Okay, so now what about, I want to know deodorants because I have used so many like clean deodorants and I found one that I love now, but I want to know your favorite and I also want to know body wash.
Okay, top two deodorants is Primally Pure and also Schmidt's. I really like the way that
Oh,
Schmidt's makes.
okay.
Yeah,
And Schmitz you
really
can
good.
get at Whole Foods, I think.
Yeah, you can. And
Yeah,
Primarily Pure is from a website, but I also really love their lotions. So we're talking about lotions. Their lotions are so good as well. They have a body butter that I love.
amazing. And then what about body wash?
Body wash, I like the Kosas Sport body wash. Now it does have a scent to it, and it's not like the cleanest possible. So when I was healing my body, I always used Dr. Bronner's, the light blue baby version.
Okay.
It's the cleanest, it's the most simplistic. And again, like you have to wait. I talk a lot about your total toxic burden. When I was
Oh,
struggling with symptoms and problems and missed periods and all the things, my total toxic burden was very high. Now
mm-hmm.
I live a very healthy lifestyle that my body can handle a little bit more hits, like a natural organic scent in my body wash.
Sure.
But when I was first healing, it couldn't. So anything I could do
Yeah.
to combat that and reduce inflammation, I would do. So the light blue Dr. Bronner's body wash soap is what I used.
Amazing. I mean, we even got to the point in my house where, you know how they make trash bags with like Febreze or scents
Yeah.
in them? Like and it's crazy because when you really get into it, everything has scents in it. Everything has these chemicals in it. And I feel like for me in the beginning, I did feel a little bit defeated because I was like, oh my gosh, like everything. Like I got to get rid of everything. So what would you say to the woman that might be embarking on this journey and just starting off? And like, what advice would you give to her?
Well, first of all, it gets easier once you go further along. So as your body starts to heal and your neurotransmitters start to rebalance, so you're less stressed and anxious, or you're more motivated, you're
Yeah.
feeling better, so you're waking up with more energy, all this becomes easier. But if, going cold turkey like you and I did and just trashing it all and rebuying it all is a little overwhelming, my sister, she's 1 year younger than me, and I love her approach to this, is she focuses on one thing to change at a time. And it might be even one thing a year. So maybe 1 year, her focus is on, replacing her deodorant that we just talked about.
Mhm,
And all she's
mhm.
going to do is find the right one, because this is also a journey. You might try a product that's natural and be like, this product is the worst. It doesn't work. I'm sticking with this.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of trial and error to find what works best for you. You'll find it. You just might have to buy a couple different brands till you found
Right.
the one. And so she takes it like one at a time. She up levels, she calls them like little luxuries, like up levels one
Yeah.
area of her life to be more conducive to non-toxic living at a time. And that really works well for her. Little by little, she now probably lives in a very non-toxic home.
Yes, I love that. You know what's so funny? I was just watching this video and they were talking about Band-Aids and how Band-Aids are super toxic because what you're doing is putting these forever chemicals that are on the Band-Aid into an open wound. My son ended up seeing the video and he's like, Mom, we got to get rid of the Band-Aids. So I bought like these new clean Band-Aids and so do you get your kids involved? Are they like aware of this as well? Because like I feel like when my kids see me doing these things, they love getting involved too.
So my oldest is also 7, and we embarked on this whole journey like right before I got pregnant with him. We were actually
Yep.
shocked that I got pregnant with him because I was supposed to not be able to get pregnant. But since I was doing
Wow.
all this stuff and rebalancing my body, we did. And so they don't know any different than to live
Yeah.
a toxic, healthier lifestyle. And so yes, they definitely get on board with things. And they also are excited about it. They are also not deprived. Like we do all the same things. We have all of the same, a candy or cookies
Yeah.
or bubble bath. It's just finding those replacements, which
Right.
luckily there's a replacement for everything nowadays,
Yes.
pretty
Yes.
much. So you can
Yes.
always find it.
It's so good. Like even our kids, like we don't do any dye in our house. We don't do like we just have certain things that like even if we're out, in the real world, it's like they know they stay away from. And I didn't grow up like that. I grew up with like Peeps at Easter and regular lollipops and jelly beans and all these things. And then you look at all of the dye and the things that are in like so toxic and cancerous and all these things. And you're like, man, like why did it take us so long to get this to this point where now we're realizing it and doing something about it? But a question that I have for you is how does the nutrition part of this play a role in helping all of these women, all of these very high performing women, perform best in their roles?
So again, kind of dependent on where you are in your healing journey. But first of all, I talk a lot about mindset around nutrition. So as a
Mhm.
high performing woman, with all my workouts, I would follow a very strict dietary plan. And it was the plan that usually came with the workout, but I would follow it to a T, of course, as we do. And for my body, that was not good. And then also what I would do is then I would follow that plan very, very strict to a T. And then usually on the weekend, if I was out with friends or at an event or traveling, I would just eat whatever. And so my body was just like freaked out going on
Yes,
this.
it's like a roller coaster.
Yes. And so one thing is that I really shifted my mindset around food. And no, I have not done a diet or a cleanse or a meal plan program in over a decade, and it
Wow.
has transformed my health. I focus on what I can add to my food, to my diet, to my body to nourish my body. I literally just focus on what can I eat to give me energy, to feel
Yes.
amazing, to have my skin glowing, to heal my gut. And I'm adding instead of stripping away. And that has been one of
Mhm.
the biggest changes in my mindset around nutrition and how I feel and naturally am able to just maintain feeling my very best. So step
Mhm.
one is mindset around nutrition and adding nutrients
Yeah.
versus a diet.
Yeah. So for you, when you made that shift, because I think that, I mean, you talk about it in your book, it's the one of the biggest things, whether it's your nutrition, your business, I mean, literally anything that we do, you have to shift your mindset because if you believe that you can or you can't, that's going to be the way that you go into it and navigate. So for a
Yeah.
woman that's hearing this and she's like, oh my gosh, I hear Maggie saying it's her lifestyle now, but she's been doing this for 7+ years, or, she's been in this journey and I'm just starting. Where is a good place for someone to start? Like, we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about the home products. Like, what would you say for someone that is probably hearing this for the first time, but wants to start making these changes? And also, like, okay, so this is a two-part question. So that's number one. Number two is, what do you think that they can expect, and how soon once they start making these changes?
So the first of where to start, I do feel that it takes the least discipline to switch out products you're using in your everyday life to more non-toxic products. It takes the least discipline. You don't have to like have this mental game for yourself to, eat a certain way or go work out or do some kind of activity. It's simply that the spray you're spraying on your face has less toxins in it. So it's a
Yeah.
very easy place to start that immediately allows you to
Mhm.
wake up every day. And instead of being super inflamed, you are reducing inflammation. And when
Yep.
you reduce inflammation, your
Mm.
body has more energy to heal. So it's like
Yep.
a no-brainer first step. Now, the second step that really, really helped me, and I think it's going to help you all as high-performing women, is I got specialty functional medicine laboratory testing done on my body. And this was key because I want to know what I'm doing is making a difference. I want to know exactly what to do, not because of some person who wrote about it on a blog said to do this thing. I want to know what's going on in my body and
Mhm.
exactly what to do to rewire it to reach my highest potential, to heal my
Yeah.
body, to do whatever it is. And so I got specialty functional medicine lab tests on my body. This is not something you can find at your normal doctor. It's what I'm specialized in, functional and integrative medicine. It dives deep into like the nitty gritty little things of exactly what foods inflame your body, exactly what levels of heavy metals you have in your body, exactly maybe you're eating really healthy, but you have maldigestion or malabsorption. Maybe you're eating so great, but you're not able to break down and absorb the nutrients from that food. So it'll tell you everything going on in your body. And for me, I needed that. I needed to look at the paper and be like, that's why I feel so crappy. And here's what
Right.
to do about it. And knowing that
Right.
my actions were actually targeted to something that was going on in my body.
And how soon did you start feeling better once you like saw in black and white, this is why, and you started making those changes?
Definitely within weeks, but it wasn't easy. So it's not easy to make change in your life in general. But
Hmm.
the alternative of staying where I was
That's
not an
right.
option. And
That's
so
right.
I just, I went through this journey. I didn't drink alcohol. Even
Hmm.
though that was a part of my social life prior to that, I cut out some foods like gluten and sugar and dairy for a period of time. Now I don't have to completely avoid those things, but I did for a period of time. And I just got dedicated because the option of staying sick and staying down this route of weight gain, feeling miserable, grogginess, bloating, it's not an option. And
Right.
so I just did it. I just got dedicated and I did it. And as it continued, every single week becomes easier and easier and easier because, like I said, if you're reducing inflammation, your body has more energy to heal. So it's like you're not alone in this game. Your
Right.
body is helping you. You're just giving a helping hand in the right direction as you heal.
Yeah. And one of the other things that you just mentioned, and what we're talking about, is inflammation. And I would love for you to break down for the ladies, because I know inflammation comes in many different forms. So could you just shed some light on what that looks like and the different forms of what that can look like?
Yes. So inflammation is a broad term. And by nature, it's actually good. Like we should have inflammation in our body in order to combat, target a virus if we get a virus and help us heal. Or if we,
Mhm.
break a bone or have a scratch, inflammation helps us heal those things. The problem is that here, as humans, we have inflammation every single day, all day long for things that shouldn't be there. Like
Right.
getting annoyed at sitting in traffic or yelling or getting stressed about something. Or sometimes my
Mhm.
inflammation was even from exciting things. Like I was very excited about something or like working really hard toward this dream. That's
Wow.
inflammation. And so and the products you put on your skin, all of this adds up. So we have this huge inflammatory storm in our body every day that our body just can't compensate any longer. And that's when you start to experience these symptoms. For me, it was a lot of gut and hormone symptoms. For you, it might be joint pain and whatever else it is. And so it's really kind of this broad thing that happens in the body that targets your weakest system or whatever maybe you're predisposed already to. Now it's activated. And now you start to have those symptoms, those diseases, and those illnesses.
So, okay, so because I read your book, I'm going to go a little bit deeper here with you. Um, so I'm someone who works out almost every day, like 5 to 6 times a week.
Mhm.
Um, I love it, but I felt like I was getting to a point where number one, I wasn't seeing much change. What I did do was I actually ended up like going up in my weights and I started to see a change, but then it plateaued again. So let's speak to the women again, knowing that they're prioritizing their health, but maybe it's the opposite way where they're doing too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
So what does that look like with inflammation?
100%. So if you're super inflamed, your thyroid is low, your hormones are imbalanced, you have gut issues going on, you're not absorbing the nutrients you're eating, you're probably waking up already on E. And if you go work out real hard, working out by nature is stress on your body. And if you're
Right.
healthy, it's good stress, and we intentionally do it to stay fit and active. But if you're
Right.
already waking up and your tank is on E and you've got this huge inflammatory storm and you're essentially under attack, actually working out sometimes harms things, and it
Yeah.
might make you gain weight, and then you're even more frustrated, so you work out even harder and then you gain even more weight, and now also you have all these other symptoms. It's not good. So actually it's
Mhm.
interesting, when I was feeling my body, and what I advise a lot of clients to do is when they work with me, we actually kind of stop working out for a period of time, which freaks people
Oh my God, I'd go
out.
crazy.
Oh yeah, you should see my CrossFit guide. So no, but we actually stop and we're walking, we're biking, yoga, Pilates, swim. You can still stay active, but the heavy lifting, especially the HIIT workouts,
Mhm.
are reduced greatly. And this
Wow.
allows the body to start to heal so that you can feel
Yeah.
better and get back to those workouts to where you are seeing the results that you're looking for, and you're not
Yeah.
deteriorating your health on accident by doing something
Yeah.
that you think is healthy.
Right. And I think for me, I was so focused on like lifting heavy. I would have like probably 4 to 5 days when I was lifting weights and then a day, maybe one day off and then like another day of cardio. And it was crazy because I was like, how am I working out so much and like just staying the same? But
Yeah.
then the crazy thing was once I peeled back a little bit and like, oh my gosh, gave myself a day off or just like did a light yoga workout or something like that, or like a bar workout, it blew my mind because I was like, how am I doing less, but like seeing more results?
It really, that's a through line in the book. I talk a lot about simplicity. The things that healed my body are not that crazy. And some of them, a lot of them are actually free. And it's actually about simplifying. It's
Yeah.
not like a crazy new thing. It was a lot of simplifying in my life. I
Hmm.
like was a workout fanatic. I woke up every single day, hit the gym. I was there first in line at 5 a.m. I got a huge workout in. And at night, I probably went to hot yoga like 6 days a week. And I loved it. And I loved it. And that's who I was. But
Yeah.
it was hurting my health. And by tying your identity as a high performer into that, it can oftentimes really hurt your health, and it's not worth it.
Hmm.
There's a better way. And so by simplifying your life, by making easier decisions, by maybe working out a little different or a little less impact half the time, by simplifying your nutrition, by not counting every single morsel that goes into your body, like you're probably going to feel so much better mentally, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah. And I want you to talk for a second about like the men versus women as well, because in that aspect, in terms of, like I know for me, and I've read through so much research about like I know, and I knew this before I even read anything, like my body just needs more sleep than my husband's. Like,
Mhm.
especially when I'm on my cycle, especially when like I don't know, just different times of the month, I know my body needs more TLC, more sleep. So I would love for you to speak to that for a moment and maybe like 3 things that we can do. Like you're like, there's 3 things. There's, like easy techniques to tap into. Give us 3 of those.
Okay, so one thing that really helped reduce my inflammation is not even, you wouldn't think it's related to health, but it is decision making. I was really poor at making decisions quickly. I stressed a lot about this. I just thought about it too much, worried about it too much, and that
Mhm.
causes inflammation. It's mental inflammation. And so one thing that really helped my health was caring less about everything and just caring less and making decisions faster and just going with the flow and seeing how it worked out.
Yeah.
Not being worked up if I did miss a workout, not being stressed about that. And that was
Mhm.
really helpful for me, number one. The
So
second
good.
Yeah, this second thing I already mentioned about like detoxing your environment. Obviously, y'all know that was helpful for me. So let's shift. It was actually setting my circadian rhythm. And so your circadian rhythm governs everything. Most people think about sleep, but it's also just like your body's rhythm throughout the day and the night. And a few habits that I would do every single day that really helped was when I woke up, get outside in barefoot, ideally, into the grass and let the sun hit your skin and your eyes with no sunscreen. No sunscreen.
Yeah.
It's
Or
actually
glasses, right? Like no
or
sunglasses.
sunglasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
No sunglasses, no sunscreen. It can be for 10, 15 minutes. And this is going to synthesize vitamin D. It's going to wake up your mitochondrial cells, which are the energy cells of your body. You know, I struggled with fatigue. So this was very helpful. It actually allows you to have proper melatonin levels at night for a better rest at night for what you're doing at 7 a.m. in the morning. It's very powerful. And then at the same time, in the evening, like within 2 hours of when the sun is setting, get outside again for another 15 minutes. And it's gonna set that rhythm of your body. It's like super powerful. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, and that like governs everything and it helps so many systems of your body. So that was one thing that was very, very helpful for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Tip number three, I just have to relate it back to the nutrition. I was a juice cleanse girl. I was a follow the workout that like follow the diet that aligned with the workout program. I was, I liked to do the thing. I liked the plan. I liked to
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what I was supposed to eat, how many ounces, and I did it because
Right.
that's my achievement. That's, you guys know because you're high performers.
Yeah.
Shifting my mindset around that and being able to notice like what my body actually needs and being more intuitive to like, am I hungry? Do I want more? Do I want less? Do I
Mhm.
want like more carbs right now or more fats right now? And just being really intuitive with that, which sounds crazy if you haven't done it yet, but and took a lot of time, but that has been transformational for my entire life.
Yeah.
Um, I have never felt more free around food, more balanced. It impacts every single system of your body to be able to nurture your body with the right nutrients, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory way of life, but without having so much mental stress and tied to it. And as a mom, you just like it's just so much better. But I will say that was the hardest thing. That took
Yeah.
so much work to completely rewire my whole belief system around nutrition and following a plan being my worth of achievement. And
Right.
it took a lot of work to do that, but it was absolutely one of the most critical aspects of my journey.
It's funny because it's like as high performers, you're always looking to like, what's the goal? Like setting action steps in place. Okay, there's the goal. Then what's the next goal? So it's very interesting because it's almost the opposite, which is why it's so hard to do because it's more like breath work and being still and listening to your body. And so much of like that high performance part of us, I know for me, is like, but what's the next thing? But what's the next thing? But what do I need to do next? And that's the complete opposite of like just the intuition and the intuitively listening to your body, where you're like, you got to slow down in order to get to a place where you can even feel and hear and think about what your body needs.
100%. And then as you make this shift, you become an even higher performer in a way you never knew possible. So
Yes.
already I was a high performer, but that's what got me sick. So then you're just like running this battle with yourself,
Yes.
trying to perform more, but you're not feeling motivated anymore. You're losing your spark. You're not feeling the same. And now you're on thyroid medicines, you're bloated all the time, you're feeling groggy. It's a
Yeah.
recipe for disaster. Whereas if you can nail down your health in a simplistic way where you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system, like you said, like breathing exercises, just like loving on your body, self-care,
Yep.
sleep, nutrition, mindset, all that kind of stuff, and kind of simplify it there, you have so much untapped potential. You've never even been able to even understand it was possible for you because you haven't yet fixed your wellness. But when you do
Right.
that, like the entire world opens up in a different way that you can never reach unless your health is on point. And your health
Yep.
on point is about truly rebalancing your body and like get your labs done and make sure things are on point and you don't have aluminum toxicity or a virus in your gut or whatever it is. get your labs done and track that. Like if track
Yeah,
that instead of the food that you're eating, And then if you're basing your wellness strategies on making sure that inside your body, your lab work, your statistics, your analytics on yourself
that's right.
are
That's right.
happening, yeah, that's when you're going to be able to actually perform at your highest and be a true high performer.
Yes, yes. And it's so crazy because again, like when it comes to business, and even for me, like in my motherhood journey, I look at that and I'm like, okay, we got the systems for the home and the calendars and the schedule and all the things. But again, I think as moms, like, and so many women that I know, mothers, they put themselves last, so it's so hard to get to that point where you're like I am taking care of the business and the home and the kids and the spouse and the travel and on and on and on, that you're like, how can I even think about taking care of myself?
Mhm.
But as you're saying, you are going to feel so much better because the engine that's running all of these things, like my husband and I were sick last week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like even little things like in the morning, right? I like set my son's school clothes out. I put out his get his snack ready, is like I set up breakfast in the morning. And I'm like, man, those things aren't happening because I'm feeling like not
Mhm.
good right now,
Yeah.
So that's just like, and for me, like I always say this, like knock on wood, it's very rare that we get the S word in our house. But when we do, I'm like, this is time. I need to slow down and just like give myself that time because that's just my body being like, hold up, we're going a little too fast. You got to take a minute.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of nice to have that time. I rarely get ill either, but it's like kind of nice when it happens to remind yourself, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And but it's true, when you prioritize your health, you're feeling your best, everything else is better. And I always joke sometimes that like if we die, like none of this exists. So like
Right.
push yourself that far to where
Yes.
to the business, to the kids, to the family, to everything. If like because if you're gone, none of that happens. And
That's
so,
right.
really just focusing on your wellness and take care of yourself so everything else becomes aligned and easy.
Yeah. And so I love with your book, and if you see it behind me, I see it right behind you. It's so great because it's something that I think, especially for women that are just maybe being introduced to this for the first time, and they're like, oh my gosh, like maybe you're saying these things like fatigue, bloating. Like, how about this? What are the top like five symptoms that you could share with our listeners that like they could maybe use as like a mental checklist to say, wait a minute, let me get this book. Let me start the process of maybe going through and starting with one of these things that you're mentioning, one of these tactics or strategies, removing or adding or whatever it is. What are maybe those top five symptoms that could be like something for our listeners to hear and recognize if this is even going on in the first place?
Yeah, well, I think number one, like the energy levels.
Okay,
You might,
energy, huge.
yeah, because you're probably you're discrediting your symptoms by saying, well, it's because I work really hard. Oh, it's because I'm a
Or
mom.
I
Of
need another cup of coffee.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Of course I'm tired, duh. But that's not, it's common, but it's not normal. So, like your energy, you should be waking up energetic and being energetic throughout the day and then starting to wind down and get tired at night, where some people get like a wire at night. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
Your energy levels throughout the day, number one.
Okay.
Hormone regulation. Most people who
Is that
have
like so libido?
libido, irregular cycles, PMS, pain around your periods, so irregular menstruation.
Okay.
Um, Also, kind of with hormones is your thyroid hormone. So, also a hormone, but a lot of hypothyroidism, or
Mm.
even Hashimoto's disease, so people who are overly inflamed. That's another common symptom. Bloating is like huge. I feel like bloating is a big one. And then also weight. So people who are just
Yeah.
like, I just can't lose weight. I'm working out every day. I'm eating all these healthy things. I don't do gluten. Like, why am I not losing weight? It's because you're swelling and inflamed and your hormones are out of balance and you're not digesting and absorbing your food. And that
Yeah.
is why you have all these complications. So those are very common ones that we see.
Wow. So any of those, right? If you ladies are listening to this and you're resonating this, like, oh my gosh, Maggie's saying, the bloating, the energy, the libido, like, and I think to some level, I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm like, man, I do these things and I can still relate to this. So I'm like, I still got work to do. But I think it's so good because there's always a starting point. And also what I love, especially as someone who does love biohacking and also just all the things high performance, I love that there's always another level that you can go to. Like there's always something else that you can unlock, whether
Mhm.
it be your air, your water, your food, your physical activity. Like there's always something else to tap into, which is also very exciting.
that is like part 2 of the book. So it's
Yeah.
really a whole thing. It's called create an environment to thrive. And it talks about your air, even how you're breathing, EMF exposure in your home, just like little hacks that you can
Mhm.
do. And just, I would say if you even just do one thing from the book, you're going to improve your life dramatically. So just like pick 1 to 3 things, implement it, come back a couple of months later, pick 1 or 3 more things, implement, come back, and you're going to like just transform your life.
So good. So let me ask you this. As a mom, you have 3 boys, correct?
I have 2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl. Okay, so 2 boys and a girl. What does their nighttime routine look like? Because I know in my home what it looks like with my 2 boys. It gets a little wild for a while, but I also notice we don't do iPads or phones in our house. The kids are still little; they're 3 and almost 7. But we do TV, and I want to know what you guys do. What does that nighttime routine look like for your kiddos?
So our kids are ages 3, 4, and 7. So very similar age.
Very close too.
And I will say that the best thing is we live in Indiana, and so it's challenging a little bit during the winter. But now that it's more warm and everything, the best thing ever is getting outside in the evening time. That I can notice an immediate difference in their ability to fall asleep easier. They're even
Mhm.
staying asleep throughout the night and not coming down to our room or anything. I notice huge difference. So the fresh air, their circadian rhythm hit with the sunset,
Nice.
that makes a big difference. And then I find the most relaxing, best nights is when we do books. Our kids love reading.
Mhm.
And so when we just have like, 1 hour before bedtime is no devices, reading books, hanging out, snuggling. And honestly, it takes that time just to get them all to brush their teeth and get
Yep.
PJs on. And it takes that long anyway. And
Yep.
so that's one thing that, a couple things that have really been a dramatic change for us. One thing we've always done also since they were all born is amber lights at night. So we don't do bright
Ooh,
lights. Yeah, so amber night lights are the easiest thing. You can get them anywhere on Amazon or
nice.
whatever. So like night lights in their bathrooms or in the hallways so that in the evening, the light exposure is like an amber or red tint instead of that
Yes.
light.
So did you just change out all your light bulbs?
So you could change your light bulbs out. You could have LED where it just switches to that, or you could
Oh,
just use certain lights. So maybe like in the evening time after the sun goes down, you just know to switch on these lights in the
got
house,
it.
in the room.
Nice. Okay.
So lots of different variety, but that's key. And we've always done that even when they were babies. And luckily, with all 3, we've had very like easy sleeper babies as well. And I think that the
Oh, you're lucky.
yeah, I think that makes a difference though, because when you have the bright lights, you're constantly switching on to like go to the bathroom or change a diaper or whatever it is. It's activating, it's telling your body it's time to wake up.
Right.
Whereas if it's the amber red light, it's not. And so that was something also that really helps with bedtime and sets like the vibe for evening.
That's so good. That's so good. Okay, so I'm going to switch to that because, we got in the habit for a while of doing books, but then they were like, we want to watch this show at night, or because then we're like kind of all in bed. And that was our time before the kids went to bed for us to kind of catch up on the day and things like that. So,
And we
so
do
it's,
that
it's
as
reminding me
well.
to go back to the books.
Well, we do that as well. The kids love to wind down with a show at night, and we love it too, so we can clean up the kitchen and whatever.
Yeah.
That as well, but I do find that the best is when it's like 1 hour before bedtime, or we're just kind of like shifting to okay, now let's do
Yeah.
jammies and teeth brush, and we'll read a
Yeah.
couple books before bed.
Yes, yes, that's so good. And it's also introducing this in a way to your family so your kids start that habit too. And then they can carry it on to high school, college, their own families.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
that is so good. Okay, so I want to wrap things up here, but I want to ask you 2 more questions. So, my next question for you is again for the ladies that are in this space right now. Again, just kind of maybe hearing about this for the first time. What is that final message that you want them to take away from tapping into your content, reading your book, and maybe again hearing this for the first time?
Well, I would say number 1 is like don't give up hope. You can absolutely heal. I was told by so many specialists that I wouldn't, and that I'd be on lifelong medications, even lifelong IV immunotherapy, just all this kind of stuff that we didn't even dive into because it's not relevant. What's relevant is that whatever's going on with you, there is hope. You can heal, no matter what the situation. So number 1. The second one is don't give up. So I am a functional medicine practitioner. I'm also specialized in integrative medicine. I myself, when I started learning about this, I started going to some practitioners who were functional integrative and they weren't good. So just because you see somebody in that realm and they're not good, or you don't get help, or you don't like them, doesn't mean that you just throw in the towel and give up.
Yeah.
It
Fight for
takes
your health.
Yeah, it takes time. Fight for your health. Find that right person, whether it's a coach or consultant, which is ultimately what I ended up doing is a functional coach, or a practitioner that you really love. Find someone, and at the end of the day, is you're the best advocate for you. That's what helped me. Understanding that no one cares about me as much as I do, and I'm going to figure this out myself. And there are tools out there for you to figure. Literally, the book. Somebody
Yep.
actually DM'd me and said that they have been seeing a functional provider for the last 5 years and have never felt better in their life than after reading the book and implementing the book.
Oh
It's
my
like
gosh.
$88. So, get the book, start implementing, don't give up, and be your own advocate.
That's amazing. Okay, so where do we find you? How do we connect with you? And also, can people work with you if they're not in Indiana? Like, where do they,
Yeah.
can they work with you?
So our practice has always been virtual since 2017 when I first founded it. Right now, we are not accepting one-on-one clients. I really feel the best place is the book, although I have worked with one-on-one clients around the world virtually. But really, the book is the best place, and always just reach out and whatever we can do. We also have on our site, we have where you can order your own labs now, which is fantastic. All the labs that I would order for my private clients, you can buy yourself. And they're
Nice.
going to send you a PDF overview of exactly what this means for your body and exactly what to do. It's like so good. And so I would start there, which is eattotreat.com, where you can find the book, the lab resources. We have like 100-page recommendation products of my favorite blush and like
Wow.
kids mattresses and all the kind of
Oh, I
stuff.
love it.
Yeah, so I feel like the eattotreat.com is like the best place to go for learning about wellness.
Amazing. And then how do we connect with you on social?
Maggie Berghoff. So Maggie_Berghoff, which obviously I'm a business owner. So I talk mostly on Maggie_Berghoff, Instagram, of entrepreneurship, self-growth, motherhood, things like that, but also wellness, obviously, since that's who I am. But yeah, Maggie_Berghoff on Instagram and TikTok.
Amazing. And we will link all of your information down below in the description in the show notes so you guys can reach out to her, connect with all of her links, and also grab the book, Eat to Treat, and grab it. Amazon, I'm sure Barnes and Nobles, anywhere else.
All the places.
Places.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Amazing. Maggie, well, thank you so much for being here with our community today. Ladies, pick one place, start there. You heard it from Maggie, and just take one step at a time. So until next time, make sure you go out and slay your day.